Hey guys, it's Julie with Julie's Designs. In today's video, we're going to be doing some fall DIYs. Now, I think fall and spring decor is all about bringing the outdoors in. So I want to see if I can be inspired by the things that I find in my backyard. I think today's projects are going to be super fun and super cheap. If you love thrift flips, if you love DIY videos, if you love thrift hauls, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I do these sorts of videos every single week. Now let's get started on these fall DIY projects. I thrifted these 4 amber glass jars for 50 cents each. I love amber glass all year long, but I especially love using it to decorate for fall. I want to make a little carrier to put the amber glass jars in, so I'm just using a piece of fencing that I have on hand. I'm putting everything on top of the piece of fence board so I can figure out exactly how long I need my board to be and how wide I want it to be. I want to have a branch on each side of my amber jars, so I'm going to figure out my measurements and then I'm going to go in my shop and cut my fencing down with my miter saw and my table saw. I have everything cut down. I cut out the side pieces about 2 inches high. Now I always put everything together before nailing it, and this is why. I don't know what happened. I should have measured twice, cut once, right? My bottles did not fit. I did not make my board long enough, but that's okay. I'm gonna put the pieces on the side instead and everything's still gonna work out fine. Now I'm gonna put my box together using my brad nailer. Y'all, I just bought this new Ryobi battery operated nail gun. Now it is very heavy compared to the one that hooks up to my air compressor, but it is so convenient to just be able to bring it in the house without having to worry about the air compressor. I am absolutely loving having this new tool. Now that the side pieces have been attached, I'm just going to take my pieces of stick that I want to use and mark where they need to be cut so that I can attach them to the tray. Once the pieces of wood are cut, I'm just going to attach them to the sides using my brad nailer. When you are doing this, just make sure you keep your fingers and hands out of the way. Amber glass looks so good next to white, so I want to go ahead and paint this entire tray white. I'm going to put 1 good coat of Rust-Oleum chalk paint on here, and then I'm just going to go back and very lightly distress this piece. All of the branches that I'm going to be using in today's project are actually from my backyard. They're from my crepe myrtle because I really like the cleaner look of the crepe myrtle. It didn't have as much bark on it, and they really needed to be trimmed anyway. I am loving how simple and beautiful this piece looks. I love the amber glass next to the white, and I styled it with these beautiful dried florals I had purchased from IKEA. I want to create a hanging sign using drop cloth, so I'm just cutting out a rectangle piece of drop cloth, and I just found something that was about the size that I wanted the sign to be, and I'm using that to help guide me to cut the pieces. I'm going to be using IOD stamps to create my sign. I am using the retro stamp for the word fall, and I'm just using the E as a place setter for that second L, and then I'm just going to turn it over and put the word on there. And then I'm going to go back and do that extra L. And then I want to say it's fall, y'all. And so for the it's and the y'all, I'm going to use the IOD typesetting stamp, which is my personal favorite stamp out of the IOD collection of fonts. So I like to lay out my type on the piece and then go with the thin mount and pick it up and then ink it and then put it back down. Now, I don't know what is the correct way to spell y'all. I do it both ways. So whatever way you want to spell it, I do not care. Y'all do it how y'all want. But we're going to use the little J to create an apostrophe because in this font collection there is not an apostrophe. So the end of the J makes a perfect little apostrophe or comma if you need to use one. I want to make this piece a little bit darker, maybe even like a little bit dirty. So I'm going to go ahead and tea dye it. You just put some tea bags and some water. You want to make sure to remove the tea bags before you put your piece in so you don't end up with some little weird stains, and you just leave it in for a minute or two and then let it dry. Once the drop cloth is dry, I'm going to attach it to some branches that I cut. They're about a foot long, and I did want these branches to be a little bit chunkier, and all I'm going to do is simply hot glue the drop cloth to the branches. And then I'm just going to take some twine and wrap it around each side of the top branch to create a hanger for our brand new little fall tapestry sign. I really like how this sign turned out. I absolutely love just the natural, simple colors. That is definitely my fall vibes. And I think this would look great year round because you can make the sign say anything. How cute would this be in a little boy's room? For this next project, we're going to be using one of these little pants hangers that I thrifted, but they originally come from IKEA, and we're going to use 2 Dollar Tree frames. The first thing I want to do is remove the hook. It has this plastic piece on it that's really going to just make the piece seem a little bit cheap, not as high-end. So we're going to remove that. It's easy to remove just using a screwdriver, and then I'm going to take it outside and give it a coat of flat black spray paint. For this piece, I'm actually just going to be using the glass out of this frame. So I want to go ahead and remove both pieces of glass. The black piece is now dry, and I went find the perfect leaf in my backyard. I wanted something kind of big, with lots of different little points on it, and I'm just going to sandwich it in between the 2 pieces of glass. So you want to make sure your glass doesn't have any fingerprints, and then I'm just going to hot glue the pieces of glass together just at the top because that will be covered up, and then I'm going to hot glue it in between the pants hanger. Although I love the clean lines and simplicity of this piece, it is definitely not my favorite project that I created today. I think I would like it better if I had also put a hanger at the bottom, just the wood part without any of the metal. I just feel like it is missing something, but y'all let me know what y'all think about this piece. This project was not in my original plans for this video, but I just felt like I needed to do something with that Dollar Tree frame that I did not use in the last project. So y'all get a bonus project in today's video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the backer of the frame and I'm going to cover it with drop cloth, and I'm just going to simply hot glue it to this piece. I went find another leaf in my backyard. This one's a little bit smaller and I think would be a better size for this project. And I'm just going to stamp the back of the leaf because I really want the veining and everything to show up. I've never done this before, but I think it's gonna be okay. So I'm just going to put it down and make sure I push all the edges. Now, I actually did not like the way that it came out. It's kind of hit or miss stamping on drop cloth because it doesn't show as much detail. So on some stuff like font, it doesn't matter, but on other stuff it does. So I'm not crazy about this, but that's okay. I have a plan B. I went tear a sheet of paper out of an old book that I had because I really wanted an off-white color, and I'm just going to ink up my leaf once again, and then I'm going to place the paper on top of the leaf and then push it down. I think I'm gonna have a much better result doing it this way and get much more detail on the paper than I did on the drop cloth. Oh, there we go. I love how this came out. This was so fun. I want to do some more of these. I'm just going to add a little clip and hot glue it to my drop cloth background, and this will cover up my previous mistake, and I'll even be able to change this picture out for the seasons. I am really happy with how this little unplanned piece turned out. I just used little odds and ends that I already had, and I really had fun stamping this little leaf. I definitely want to do some more of these. For this project, we're going to be using a larger branch that I got out of the yard. And do y'all remember that finio that I used in last week's video? We're actually going to use the curtain rod that came with it. So I'm going to take the curtain rod outside, and using a metal blade on my jigsaw, I'm going to cut it down about 5 inches, and I'm going to need 2 of these. It is really easy to cut metal with a jigsaw if you have the proper blade. I grabbed a drill bit that was the same size as my metal rods that I just cut, and I put my piece of wood in my vise that came with this workbench, and the part of the log I want to be the bottom. That's where I'm going to drill 2 holes. Now, let me explain what we're making so y'all not confused. We are making a propagation stand, not a real one, obviously, because I got enough stuff to try to keep alive, but I want something to hold some fake fall decor. So that is the plan here. I have been thinking about this design for weeks, and I just felt like to give this piece the high-end look that I wanted, it needed some metal, because I was thinking about making it all out of wood, but in the end, I think you're going to see adding a little bit metal to this piece was definitely the way to go. So I drilled 2 holes in the piece of wood a little bit to be able to insert the metal rods that will be the feet of this piece. And now I'm turning my piece of wood over, and I'm going to drill several holes through the entire piece of wood. And that's where we're going to insert a little fake floral. I wanted to add some little wooden feet to my metal legs, so I just cut some smaller pieces of a branch, and I'm going to drill a hole that I can insert the metal rod into. Now, if I could go back, I would have made these feet bigger because it would have made this whole piece much more stable. So if you do this, I recommend using bigger feet at the bottom. Once all my pieces were cut out and ready, I brought it inside to put it together. I am just using Gorilla Glue and a rubber mallet. You just want to make sure you give it the proper amount of time to dry, and this worked out great. Like I said, the only thing I would change is I would have used bigger wooden feet at the bottom of this piece. Please leave a comment below and let me know specifically what you think about this piece. I spent weeks thinking about this design. I wanted it to be simple but very high-end looking. I used the IKEA dried floral to stage this piece, and I'm obsessed. I really want to know what y'all think about it. Do y'all remember that placemat that was in my haul video that I teased that was going to be coming up in a video? Some of y'all did actually guess correctly what I was going to do with it. So besides the staging, I'm actually not using anything from my backyard, but I wanted to make something to hold some little logs. I thought this would be so adorable. So I'm just using some string ribbon that I had at my house, and I'm just going to push it through the placemat, and then I'm going to tie some little knots. I'm going to do this on each side to create some little handles. At the top where the handles are, I really want it to stay together, but it's not because the placemat is so stiff. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some hot glue. This is just a piece of decor. I don't actually need it to be functional. So I'm just going to add a little hot glue, and then you want to make sure that you hold it in place until your hot glue is completely dry. Now we're going to embellish our little hanging basket a little bit. So I created a little tag just using some leftover wood that I have, and I want to write the word fall on it. And this is something you can change out for the seasons because the basket is very neutral, so you can use it year around. This is some garland that I purchased from Hobby Lobby. When you buy garland from Hobby Lobby at 50% off, it's a really good deal. And then you can just use the sprigs on it for so many different projects. So I'm just going to use some jute twine. I love the jute twine from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to attach my little tag and some greenery to this cute little hanging basket. This project was really quick and easy. I absolutely love the way it came out and will definitely be changing this up for all the holidays. I wish I would have found more of these placemats because I have so many DIY ideas for one of these little placemats. This next project was another add-on project. I finally had to make myself stop because I had so many ideas for this video. So I went out of my yard and I cut some more of my crepe myrtle, and I forgot the battery for the saw, so that's why it didn't work. So I went back, I got the battery, take two. I'm cutting these branches off because I had the idea to make a ladder. Now I wanted to make a mini ladder, but these branches ended up being so straight and perfect that I decided to make a 4-foot ladder. So I took the two branches that I just cut off the tree and cut them to 4 feet on my miter saw. And then I found 3 more branches that I cut down to 13 inches to create the rungs on the ladder. On my longer pieces, I am just marking every foot because I'm going to put a rung at every foot. And so this 4-foot ladder is going to have 3 rungs. Now I'm going to place my 13-inch pieces where I just made those marks, trying to make it as level as possible. All these branches, aren't exactly straight, and that's what we're going for, just a more natural look. And I'm just going to use my brad nailer to nail it in place. I'm going to put 1 nail in the front, then I'm going to turn it over and put more nails into the back until it is completely sturdy. This next part that I'm going to do is completely personal preference. It's just whatever look you are going for. For me, the natural branches is just a little bit too rustic. So I want to tone down that rusticness and just paint it with a coat of white chalk paint. And then I'm going to lightly distress it. I think if you wanted to even add a little bit more to it, you could add some jute twine where the two pieces come together. But for me, I'm just going to keep it very simple like I did for the rest of my pieces. All right, y'all, just for fun, I want y'all to go Google stick ladders and branch ladders and see how much these things are selling for. I made this thing for free out of branches from my backyard, and it took me about 20 minutes to make. I think it came out great, and I will definitely be using this for the fall and Christmas seasons. I want to create a piece to add to some decor that I have hanging on the side of my kitchen cabinet. So I want to create a little drop cloth bag. I'm going to cut a piece of drop cloth to the size that I want the bag to be. Then I'm going to hot glue all my edges together, leaving an opening at the top. And then I'm going to turn it inside out. You want to make sure that the glue is fully dry before you turn it inside out. I cut some smaller drop cloth strips, and I'm just going to glue that to the top of my bag to create some little hangers. Then I'm going to stick my stick through the little hangers that I just created and mark where I want to cut down the stick. I find it kind of looks like little overalls, which I feel like adds to the look of the fall design that I'm going for. Do y'all remember the design that I made on my last video using the number 6 from the IOD typesetting stamp and the 2 floral from the IOD alpha bellies? And I told y'all it was going to be my new family logo. Yep, it sure is. And I am going to be sticking it on this cute little bag. So I'm just rolling out my blue paint using a brayer, and I'm going to stamp it on this bag. And y'all, I think everybody needs a family logo. Look how cute this came out. this piece is exactly what I had in mind for this particular spot in my home. And it is exactly that traditional vintage farmhouse style that I love. And this little stamp just takes it up a whole nother level. Alright guys, what did y'all think about today's video? Please leave a comment below and let me know what was your favorite project that I worked on. I hope y'all are inspired to go out in y'all backyard and see what y'all can find to make y'all own DIY fall decor. Y'all have a wonderful day and I will see y'all in the next video.